Welcome to Firing Line with William F. Buckley Jr. With this observation, however, rather than descending to what amounts to no more than ad hominem attacks to the man, right, literally in Latin, distracting attention from the very relevant inquiry, let us return to this far more recent work to which you had referred, published in a Cell journal by these notable evolutionary biologists and virologists, your colleagues, by these persons with whom many are now familiar, in which they had concluded, and I quote, failure to comprehensively investigate the zoonotic origin through collaborative and carefully coordinated studies would leave the world vulnerable to future pandemics arising from the very same human activities that have repeatedly put us on a collision course with novel viruses. A proposition that is quite singular in itself, since apparently we only had 219 viruses harmful to mankind prior to this rather novel innovation, but novel viruses indeed nonetheless. And we must assume that you would concur with this conclusion, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Yes, I agree that was the very reason and very logical approach, I believe.
Indeed, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci. And as you may recall, it was Dr. Webb who had, in an article in Science Journal, in fact published in November 2021, titled Dissecting the Early COVID-19 Cases in Wuhan, the genesis of at least the outbreak events, had suggested an alternative methodology for parsing the origins, certainly more comprehensible to those of us not quite as acquainted as perhaps yourself with scientific terms like H2, rat G13 recombinant bunny domain, or RBG, spike proteins, and furin cleavage sites. And he, Michael Webb, had adopted an approach to the origins narrative, stepping back to the period before any such bias could have crept in, attempting to place some distance between the two competing theories that have revolved around two rather notorious locations in Wuhan, i.e. the wet market and the virology lab.
Yes, I believe that a bat origin is at least one fact upon which practically all today agree, and the debate has continued to revolve around the intermediate source after what had been a natural spillover from the strain of bat COV rat G13.
Certainly, and moving further back in this analysis, or genesis account, before the arrival of the virus in Wuhan, the source of the outbreak, Birger Sorensen, Andreas Sursrud, and Angus George Daglish, in their May 2020 paper, published in QRB Discovery, had suggested that successful vaccine design, which they were working on, logically starts with a thorough understanding of the etiology, origins of the target virus, which appears in this case, in their opinion, to be quite singular. And adopting this rather unique approach, apparently unique vis-a-vis others that were also developing vaccines, most discussions early during the outbreak in Wuhan had reiterated the findings of the WHO, which had published in their report, after a rather robust examination by late February 2020, completed by 1,800 teams, rather robust effort. 1,800 teams of at least 5 epidemiologists had examined some 55,924 laboratory-confirmed cases in China, which would be 19 times more than the over 3,000 cases that had yet to be reported in the entire United States by mid-March 2020. That, and I quote, since the COVID-19 virus has a genome identity of 96% to a bat SARS-like coronavirus and 86% to 92% to a pangolin SARS-like coronavirus, an animal source for COVID-19 is highly unlikely, ruling out other possibilities. Coronaviruses are unique to animals, birds, and mammals, in fact, no other species. Specifically, they had concluded at that very early point that, and again I quote, alignment of the full-length genome sequence of the COVID-19 virus and other available genomes of beta coronavirus showed the closest relationship was with the bat SARS-like coronavirus strain, bat CoV rat G13, identity 96%. Replicability and reproducibility being the hallmarks of science, by going from there to state from phylogenics analyses undertaken with available full genome sequences, bats appear to be the reservoir of COVID-19 virus, but the intermediate host after the bat has not yet been identified. Of course, Bill, and I believe much work has been done in that area of inquiry. However, as I had informed the Boston Globe, we may have to resolve ourselves to the fact, unfortunately, that as to intermediary hosts, one singular or several along the way that had been directly connected to the outbreak, we may never know. Indeed, Dr. Fauci, Donna Anthony Fauci. And if we were to proceed to focus on that point in the proximal origin story or narrative, there appears to be rather unanimous consensus within the scientific community, the one that most counts in scientific matters, that the rat G13 virus, with which the novel coronavirus had been found to have a 96.2% similarity, very high, had been isolated from the Rhinolophus affinis, an intermediate horseshoe bat, whose natural habitat is in only 2 locations, both in the Yunnan province, which is some 1,063 miles away by road distance to Wuhan in the Hubei province. Would you agree, Doctor? Dr. Fauci? Dr. Anthony Fauci, please. Doctor. That is correct, Bill. Lineage B, whereas Dr. Warby, in his analysis, had developed also by Dr. Anderson, reported the apparent preponderance of hospitalized COVID-19 cases were associated with the wet market.
This message was approved by Major Mike Webb. Honest.